we've arrived.
The Manor House restaurant.
In West Bromwich.
800 years old. Wow. I can't believe it. It's the most incredible medieval timber-framed hall house.
It's a beautiful building.
It's immense.
And it's an absolutely beautiful place.
It's amazing.
Very, very big.
It's huge.
I think I like this place.
I'm so excited.
I've had a walk around with Richard Felix this morning.
I think I found what I'm sure it's a priest hole. The back of the panelling in one of the rooms.
I am kind of doubtful that they are actually priest holes, but Richard's Richard. He gets a bit excitable about these things.
And Rich was getting very excited with all the little hidden places and everything around.
One of the rooms where there's a lot of paranormal activity. Apparently people do not like to go in there and certainly won't stay in there on their own. These are, I think, salt cupboards.
Salt cupboards over the fire.
Salt cupboards, but no, they're not. They're too big. Now, this to me is a prime example of a priest hole.
Right.
Behind the panelling, and this would have been a Catholic house, and any priests that were captured would be hanged, drawn and quartered for treason. And I don't think that this panelling here, which has been used over the years, I would say that originally this was...
It wouldn't have had those holes.
It wouldn't have looked like that.
It would have
been like a secret doorway with a special little button or something that you pressed somewhere so it came open. That's what I think. Because if you look inside it, there's an alcove in there. Look, specially designed.
Yeah.
Against the chimney, where you could quite easily get someone in and hide. With the panelling behind you, you'd never know anyone was there. That, to me, I believe, is a priest hole.
Wouldn't you get a few in there?
You'd get 2 or 3 people in there.
Yeah.
The only thing you've got to remember is that they'd have to stay there sometimes 2 or 3 days, while Queen Elizabeth's soldiers were actually ripping through the building, testing the panelling, trying to find something at the back, looking up the chimneys, in the attics, searching for recusants, Catholics. But that, to me, looks like a priest hole. I'm excited, I just found that. I like that.
To me, I'm more out there. It's
right.
I'm out in the courtyard than in here, and it seems that I can hear in my, this is the clear audience thing, I can hear horses' hooves, which wouldn't be anything sensational. Okay. You would expect that, but it seems to me that this is more of an entry than a. Do you know? It's not not a room.
Yeah,
it was never a room.
It's funny you should say that, because apparently one of the key activities in this room is figures have been seen walking through the walls.
Right.
So, I mean, if it was an entrance, then that would tie in with that, surely, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It seems to me that that this would be indeed the main point of entry into the manor itself.
Well, I've just been for a walk round with David and Phil, and I was filming it, and I couldn't help. It was a fascinating conversation, and we were talking about mediums.
When you are picking up on spirit activity, for instance, what kind of sensations as a medium are you experiencing?
It really depends on how the spirit's trying to communicate. There's basic ways. There's clairvoyance, which means you see. There's clairaudience, which means you hear a voice. And there's clairsentient, which means you feel the sensation, sometimes a physical touch, or sometimes the sensation of how they've passed. So, you might feel yourself choking. So those are the main things. But for me, it tends to start with just a tingling, a tingling all over, and I start to think, and then I start to tune in. Is what a lot of mediums say. I tune in, and by that, it just means they go inside of themselves to listen to that very centre of themselves, and to sense what they see from the mediums or subconscious.
Now, you also hear the word trance a lot in when you're talking about mediums and their abilities. Just if you can sort of describe for me exactly what a trance is and involves.
There's two different ways of looking at it. There's trance mediumship, and there's, I guess, what you're probably talking about is possession as well.
Right, yeah.
They're two very different things. A trance medium will purposely put him or herself into a trance. He or she will directly invite spirit to take over. Sometimes it's just the throat, so it's communication. Sometimes it's the whole being. Possession tends to happen when it's much more of a woomph, and you don't have an option, and you're knocked sideways, and they're there.
And if I was sat down with somebody who claims that they were just about to go into a trance and went into a trance, how would I, as a layperson, as a viewer, how would I be able to tell that they were in a true trance?
I think the key is to be able to ask questions.
Right.
So if you ask them a question, and you get these ones, the guy comes through and you say, "Do you have a message for us?" Which is a very open-ended question.
Yeah.
And they will always say...
Usually very general replies as well, aren't they?
It's always things like, stop fighting, make peace, not war. And I mean, that's a valid thing to say. And of course, Spirit would say that. It would want you to say that. And equally, you're not going to insult Spirit by saying, "What have I got in my back pocket? How many £10 notes are in my wallet?"
Yeah.
You're not going to do that either. But you can ask for specific information relating to yourself, I think, and that will give you the confidence that it's real. Because you need proof, I agree.
Everybody needs proof of these things.
That's how I started, I was a big skeptic.
Exactly, especially people like myself and inevitably some of the viewers that watch the show.
Richard, Felix and myself are now going up into this room that no one's been into for a long time.
You can see the window from outside, but there's no way in apart from a little doorway in the ceiling.
We're kind of fighting each other to get up there first, because we both want to be the first one up there.
I don't know, who knows what we may find up there.
See who wins. Sure. That's possible. It's very empty up here. What a way to make a living.
Oh boy. Quite amazing. But not a lot in it, but that doesn't have to have anything in it, does it? What's at the end, Carl? Is that a doorway?
I think it's probably a chimney.
Everything tells me I want to come up. Well, everything tells me that I could get stuck. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, have you had much of a problem in the past about getting your leg up? Leg over? Shall we have another ladder? Hey! Is that Phil? Philip Flop! Where's Phil?
I'm here.
Where? Are you coming up as well?
Well, if Richard ever gets his ass into gear...
I'll get down and let you come through. Right. Hello.
Hello, Phil.
You alright?
Coming up?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How did you get up here?
He's fit. He's worse than I am. I don't believe it. Not
not only is Phil Wyman frightened of the dark, but he don't like heights either.
I'm just frightened of getting in an attic with Carl on my own.
Well, that's understandable.
Good excuse. Oh, here we go. You're still where you were before, aren't it? Oh, crumbs. So you've got...
Do you realise it's a bastard now?
Oh, don't tell me just like I'm going to have to go in there on my own.
I don't quite know what it's going to do.
You all right, Richard? At last! Hey, Richard Felix is in the loft!
Wow. It is a fireplace. So that means a little habitation up here. Definitely a fireplace. I just don't understand
How far back
why that goes, unless it's another chimney. So there's a chimney coming up from down below.
No, and this is just in front of it.
And you can feel the draft, yeah. And this is the chimney for here, and it's, wow, it's been bricked up, but this is a chimney which joins to the big chimney.
Right.
So there's a chimney at the back, chimney at the front. Not a problem. Apart from what it's saying, there was habitation up here. People lived up here.
Okay, I've just been up to the attic where the paranormal activity of noises and the ghost of an old lady who's been nicknamed Emily by the staff here has been seen. Must admit it's a bit disappointing, and it's exactly like an attic would be. Very, very dusty. In fact, I've been coughing for the last 20 minutes since coming down from there. The only signs of life or having been life up there is the fact that there is a fireplace. It's in a bit of a state, but obviously an indicator that people did live up there at some point. So possibly the activity that's being experienced there and heard there could be down to those spirits of the people that lived there at some point. And I was just wondering if Emily, like I say, who's been nicknamed by the staff, was one of these people that lived there.
Goodbye.
Coming up in part 2, we get the fright of our lives in a very unusual location. Welcome back to Most Haunted Extra. Before we could start the investigation, we were besieged by hundreds of fans.
Oh my God, what's that?
Skeleton.
Crying out loud. I haven't even seen that before. You scared me to death. It's an absolutely beautiful building. As soon as you look at it, you want to go back in time. I'm really looking forward to tonight because I think definitely something will happen. It just has a feel about it. Especially the upper levels, they seem to be quite atmospheric, cold, and quite frightening.
I've been up there earlier.
Have you?
I have been in there, yeah. And there's a room up there with a window in it.
What's it like?
It's well, it's very much like an attic because it is, but
It's got a very small window.
Yeah, it's got a very small window, a square window, and a slightly larger window about the size of this half piece.
Yeah.
And at the far end there's a fireplace.
Yes.
So people
Yes.
lived up there.
Yeah. This is where I feel in this area where it all happened, okay? And this one, that little girl, is energy, and they're moving up and down. When I said about the sounds, the sounds that are coming for here. Yeah.
Well, I've just done my first vigil with Derek and Richard and John. And we went to the secret room, which is at the far end of the building. And it was really quite spooky, and I got myself all sort of worked up and quite frightened in certain parts. Well, can we have... Is that you, Derek?
What?
Just move again, Derek.
Just move again. No, it was a
It
thud.
was a louder, hot,
It was a
thick,
thud.
thick,
Yeah, I
heavier
heard
noise.
I didn't hear that because I was...
It's coming from down there, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right, look, shut the door down there. No, let's be quiet and see if we hear it again. On the whole, it was quite an interesting vigil. Some things did happen. We did hear some noises. I'm very aware that we weren't on our own. I'm sure you always have a feeling that you know, maybe something was there with us. Please, we don't mean you any harm at all. Come on. Please try and come up the stairs. Come and walk towards us. Do anything at all. Show us some lights, anything. We're here for you. We don't mean you any harm. We're just inquisitive.
There's something shadowy going across the wall. Now I don't know whether there are branches. Can you see it? Look.
What?
Look, going backwards and forwards across the back wall.
Yeah.
Shadow, look.
It's a branch.
Across that picture?
It's a branch.
Yeah, right across the bottom wall there. Look, back, forward, back now.
Yes, it is.
Just to the right of the window, yeah?
No, actually the
Right
fireplace.
across the fireplace.
It's going across the fireplace.
It is moving. There's movement going right across. Look at that,
Yeah.
look at that bump. Now it's subsided.
Now, none of us are moving, are we?
No, there we go again.
Now, I can't see it on the camera.
No, you won't miss it.
It isn't picking up shadows.
what's
You
that?
see it?
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Oh yeah, look.
Jesus.
We could have sworn that we were seeing shadows moving across the top of the fireplace. We worked it out in the end that even though there weren't trees in the window, we did work it out that a long way away there were shadows being cast over there, probably from trees.
The light is behind that waving,
Right.
Right?
It's in direct line to this fireplace.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've got the light, which is just below. There's a clear light. There's these branches being in between me and the fireplace, and it's like a line. But it could be that. I'm not saying for definite, but
Now, do you realise how far away
We moved on to, I suppose, one of the most unlikely places that you're going to get maybe an experience of spiritual activity. And would you believe it was the ladies' toilet? We're here to find out, if we can, who you are.
We were asking somebody, spirits, to communicate with us. Please try harder, we were saying. All of a sudden I heard this beep next to John, and I said, what was that? What's that? John.
I don't know.
And the next thing, I heard this spitting thing, and drops of fluid were on my face. And all four of us just ran screaming like a bunch of girls.
Don't worry. Stand still, folks. Don't worry.
The vet just bolted, first off, into this, I'd call it corner, followed by John Dibbs, followed in an eagerly way by Mr. Richard Felix, who incidentally was holding my hand and wouldn't let go and dragged me in. Well, it was a jar.
Come on, Evie, you're right. You're right.
spat at you?
I know. I heard something. It was something.
That was not.
Spat at him.
The door was ajar.
I know.
Something spat
No.
at him.
Okay, now look, there's a machine up here. Does
No.
that spit out any of this fragrance?
Of course it's not going to spit anything out, is it?
No, look. Have you got a torch or something?
Yes, I'll put the torch down the here there.
Don't worry. Look, it is quite possible. I know that scared the shit out of me.
Okay, well, if you smell that around there now, that's pumped out fragrance, isn't it?
Yes, it.
Yeah. You're all right. But this door, was that door knocked as we all went round, or because it was like that?
Good job, room ladies. You need
Yes.
Anybody need the loo?
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me.
I've never seen.
Well, it's 4 people huddled together.
It's such a small.
That was shameful. That was 3 blokes and a lady.
3 blokes and a lady. Derek and I came round here holding hands.
I
No,
know.
I thought it was that, and then we heard a beep, and you said, "What was that?" And then we heard this spitting, and then a kind of a surge of activity.
And we found out that it was an air freshener that automatically goes off and spits the perfume into the room. And I've never come across one of these before in my life.
Richard's
lost the plot. Well, when does it do it? When does it spit?
I think it spits every hour or something.
I am shaking. I am absolutely shaking. Nerves, eh, Richard?
Poor big girls.
And then Richard was so hysterical that he actually set the hand drying machine off, which set me off again, screaming like a big girl's blouse.
Shit.
Yeah, that's squeal. Oh, God.
Next, you know, Durex is going to put Oh, let's get up. Bloody hell, I did it again. Let's go. I'm too scared to go and get spat at or winded on. All in all, that experience was very funny, but very frightening at the same time. It just shows you that when you're in the dark and you're looking for ghosts, the slightest thing can just make you jump and scream. Where are we going? Should we go down now? Because I need to look back at that.
We've got 55 minutes.
Come on, we've done it, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think we'll do anything serious now. And I think that has to be one of the most favourite moments of fun on Most Haunted. I'll never ever forget that. It's fantastic.
And also it will catch it. If it's here tonight, it will catch it. And you hear it here first.
What's that? Who's that?
It's Carly. Fucking hell.
It's evil to me.
Now, is it Vigil or Vigil?
Vigil.
Vigil.
V-I-G-I-L.
You can't laugh at me. I can't do it with my laugh. What are you doing, John? What are you doing, John?
Keep the nuts.
Oh.
Keep the nuts. I'm gonna go and bury my nuts.
Let's hope we can skip with the spirits.